श्री आनंद शर्मा।
सर, वित्त मंत्री ने अभी जीएसटी के 4 बिल, जीएसटी, आईजीएसटी, ये अभी सदन में प्रस्तुत किए हैं, जिनको लोकसभा ने पारित किया है। ये ज़रूरी हो जाता है कि हम जहां जीएसटी एक बड़ा परिवर्तन देश के टैक्स के अंदर लाएगा, इसको थोड़ा गहराई से देखें कि क्या हम पूरी तरह से आज की तारीख में तैयार हैं और क्या हर पहलू पर हमने विचार किया है। जो चिंताएं जाहिर की गई उपभोक्ताओं के द्वारा, जो छोटे उद्योग हैं उनके द्वारा, राज्यों के द्वारा, उनका निराकरण हुआ है या नहीं हुआ है। ये भी याद रखना जरूरी है कि संसद के दोनों सदनों पिछले महीने अगस्त के अंदर संविधान संशोधन को पारित किया था, जिसके माध्यम से ये संभव हो पाया कि जीएसटी आए और वो जीएसटी के कानून बने जिससे सरलीकरण हो और पूरे देश के अंदर, जैसे कहा गया है, ये बार एक देश हो, एक टैक्स हो, one nation, one tax. That has been the stated objective. True, it's a historic change, historic legislation, which will bring about a paradigm shift when it comes to the taxation of goods and services, both by the center and the states. So, but when we look at it, that there was a broad consensus across the political spectrum, which was achieved last year. But perhaps it's an imperative to recall that this was delayed for 7 long years, and delayed because of partisan standoffs, not because of any merit, not because of any justification. And when that happened, it led to a huge loss. Today, when we are being told that, and it's correct also, that it will help in the long run to increase the GDP, there will be a value addition, whether it's 0.7% or 1.5%, we are not in a position. But surely it will benefit in the long term. There has to be some introspection by the finance minister and his colleagues and the government. By resisting and opposing it for so long, what was the loss caused to this country? And whether there is any realization or regret today? Perhaps not. But that is, in fact, a matter of pure academic interest today, because we cannot revert back to those years, nor we can reverse the clock of time. At the same time, I would also like to mention, though it has been categorized, and I am not questioning that as a money bill, yes, it is, when it comes to taxation, duties, it will be a. But it was discussed in this House, and there was a demand made that for legislative process to be effective, both the houses will be equally involved when it comes to the passage of these bills and these laws. Rajya Sabha, Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, has been deliberately not being given that importance when it comes to important legislation. And I fail to understand why. When you bring about such a major change, as I said, that there was a national consensus. We tried to do it, we did not succeed. You have tried to do it, but the difference was that between then and now, that there is a mature and responsible opposition which understood that it was in the benefit of the country, and we decided to go ahead with the constitutional amendment, which actually has midwife or facilitated the laws that you seek to bring now. Therefore, it was important when there are interstate issues, even if it is only about taxation of goods and services, that both the houses had their full say, and the concerns of the members who would be articulating the concerns either of the producer, the consumer, or of the society as a whole are adequately addressed. So the purpose and objective of the GST is to have a simple, effective and efficient tax structure. Therefore, the question is, are we actually going to create an efficient structure? Simplification, reducing the burden of compliance on the industry, on the taxpayer, and also ensuring that the final GST rate will not be unaffordable or too high, that we will genuinely, by passing these bills, bring down the burden on the producer and the consumer both. So I have my doubts. It is because of the multiple GST rates as have been proposed. While agreeing that it's a complex process, particularly when you seek to bring all the states on board, but the GST slabs of 5%, 12%, 18% and 28% do not make it an ideal GST. There is no clarity. Yes, we are told that those goods which were attracting low taxes or duties will be capped in the 5% tax slab. But why these four? And these are not actually four. This morning when we were having a look at it, in the IGST law, it says not exceeding 40%. So when the finance minister replies, I'll request him to explain why this 40% in the IGST. So that makes it 5. Plus you have raised the peak rate now to 20%. How that will operate, how it will affect, and also for the categorization, the listing of the goods and the listing of the services, unless and until you are ready with it. Then as we move, and during the transition period, I have my fears that there will be arbitrariness. It should be non-discretionary. So that is the first issue that I had to raise about these multiple tax rates and how it will impact the overall GST rates in this country, given the exemptions and the exclusions that we have. And I'll come to that later. Sir, the rules have yet to be framed. The GST Council had recommended the laws, the Lok Sabha has approved, but unless and until we have the lists, the different category of goods attracting different GST rates ready in public domain, which is acceptable, it will lead to implementation or compliance problems. And the rule should be clear. The industry must know, the states must know, the taxpayer must know what are the rules and when will you be ready with the rules. The government is keen to implement it by 1st of July. There's hardly any time left now. And why I'm saying so? Because you just formed some working groups on health, banking, insurance. These are pan-Indian services. And those working groups are going to give their reports. They have been asked to give their reports in 2 weeks. So by the 10th of April, the reports will be with the government. Maybe you will be required to set up more working groups. So all this work is yet to be done. And that's why the concerns about the preparedness to implement, that too in the midst of a financial year, because it will be, by the time it gets implemented, it will be almost the middle of the present financial year. I'm sure that the government would have taken all this into consideration and not create a situation that will open up avenues for discretion, interpretations, misinterpretations, and disputes. We would like to urge the Finance Minister and surely the GST Council, which he chairs, that most of the goods where directly a citizen is affected, a consumer is affected, must be included in the 5% slab as they are presently taxed at low rates. And you should resist the temptation, as the suggestions have been made by some sections, to bring the maximum number of goods and services in the model GST rate of 18%. That should be resisted. That will be highly inflationary. लोगों पर बोझ पड़ेगा, उपभोक्ता पर भी, उद्योग पर भी. वो ना करे तो बेहतर होगा. और जब आप अपना उत्तर दें इस पे स्पष्टीकरण दें. कहा यही गया है कि अगर 2 जीएसटी रेट होते तो अच्छा होता, 2 या 3. जितने ज्यादा हुए हैं उससे ज्यादा गफलत होगी, ज्यादा नुकसान होगा और इसको अमल में लाने में आपको शायद प्रशासन को भी, केंद्र के और राज्यों के उतना ही कष्ट होगा, बराबरी का. ये सही है कि जब कोई बड़ा कदम उठता है तो उसमें इस तरह की दिक्कत और परेशानियां जरूर आती हैं. But I will still maintain that a moderate rate perhaps would facilitate compliance, voluntary compliance. And the Finance Minister will agree that the best must not become the enemy of the good. That's why the concerns that we have, that whether you have gone for the best option or not. Mr. Deputy Chairman, sir, there's also a concern about the cess. It lacks clarity. There are different cesses which will be proposed for each demerit goods, as we understand. Whether you will have one cess which will go towards a common fund to compensate for any revenue loss to the states, and what will finally be done with the cesses. Since you want one country, one tax, so what will you do with all these cesses which are already there, which actually is an additional burden, particularly when it comes to the consumers, the citizens, let alone the industry. In the last few years, we have seen increase in cesses, increase in service tax, which has adversely affected when it comes to the people, when it comes to the taxpayers. Whether eventually the Finance Minister proposes to subsume all these cesses once the transition period is over, and do you have any proposal that after a particular defined period of time, we will reduce these multiple slabs to improve not only the compliance, but also a GST which is acceptable which is not only there for the name's sake. Why I'm saying so, sir? That when you look at the list of exclusions, it is worrisome. All petroleum products, diesel, petrol, aviation, turbine fuel, gas, that's kept out. It's elementary common sense that that is the biggest multiplier when it comes to the transaction costs. For transportation, we know that it has been included, but it will be triggered in. When I was referring to the petroleum products when you were talking to Power Minister, that the exclusion of the petroleum products actually is not a healthy sign. You may have constraints or compulsions. Each state will have its own diesel surcharge. Each state will have its own duties. So you'll end up paying different prices, like it is today, for petrol or diesel all across the country. And unfortunately, you have not addressed the issue of the aviation fuel. It's a pan-India service, particularly when it comes to the input tax credits. How that will affect, and I'll come to other services where the concerns are bona fide concerns and which needs to be taken into consideration. So in addition to petroleum products, electricity has been kept out. Now electricity for production, particularly when we look at the core sector of the industry, whether it's cement, whether it is steel, the energy intensity is very high, going to 25%, 28% and 33%. Now you keep electricity out, so that is another. Each state will have its own, they will have their own rates. So how will it make one country, one tax? Real estate has been kept out. Why? When you are fighting illegal transactions, black money, why real estate should not come in? Why real estate should go out? Because it's not going to be resulting in any revenue loss to any of the states. Revenue neutral when you want to make it. And that's the objective. And also alcohol. We understand the difficulties. But when you 40% of the revenue base you keep out, or the GDP, how is it an ideal GST? It's not. It's imperfect. And how will you, even if you say the model GST rate is 18%, we do not know what is your definition, categorization or listing of the luxury goods, where the 28% tax will be there. And when you are looking at also one window of 40%, this will make perhaps our GST one of the highest GST rates in the world. This is a concern. So when we look at the global scenario, the GST rates are below 18%. In the rich and the developed countries, they're less than 17%. And same is the case with the emerging economies, 16.4%. So the finance minister alone can explain that when you have such a heavy list of exclusions, how are you going to help in achieving the objective? And particularly when it comes to bringing down the transaction costs and reducing the burden on the industry, particularly the mediums, micro and small enterprises. Sir, service tax is important because it's goods and service tax. There are many services. And most of the services are pan-Indian services, interstate services. We have seen 2.5% increase in the service tax. Now, even if you want to keep the service tax at the model GST rate, the Finance Minister must make it clear whether there will be different categorization of services also like the goods for different rates. But if you propose to keep it at 18%, even then 3.5% jump, it will be hugely inflationary. Now, there is no safeguard clause. When we look at the bills which have been passed and brought to this House, there is no proposal as to how you will address this issue of inflation and whether you are considering any safeguard, because it will be across the board. And therefore, the concern again is very serious and it should be taken in that spirit. So when we are talking of a model GST law, the registration and compliance in each state for suppliers of goods and services, we have to ensure that the complexities are less, especially for services which are interstate or pan-Indian. There's banking, insurance, telecom, airlines, e-commerce, transport. Now what is being done, it actually negates the very concept of improving the ease of doing business, which is one of the national objectives and priorities. Because the present GST law proposes registration in every state. So each state will have its own registration authority. That will come in the way of compliance. You are not improving the overall business climate. Ideally speaking, it's an imperative to have a centralized registration authority under the GST with credits to the states through the IGST mechanism. If you do not do that, then imagine the case of service providers who actually have to register in each state. Even if you say there will be refunds, and we are talking of inputs, credits, there are bound to be complications and bound to be difficulties. And if you propose to create, as this bill seeks to, a common market, there should also be single assessment, audit, and also for advanced ruling. Now what you are proposing is each state will have its own advanced ruling. A model GST law should have a clear mechanism how on this will be implemented, particularly when it comes to assessment and audit. Because dual administration will not only be tedious, but a severe drain on the administration, both the central government and the state governments. Multiplicity of proceedings for taxpayers, particularly for industry which has interstate presence or pan-Indian presence, will be creating more complications. Therefore, I would suggest, as I mentioned about the Central Registration Authority, and using the IGST mechanism for the tax credits, also a National Advanced Ruling Authority. Whether the Finance Minister will consider, whether this has been discussed in the GST Council. So during the transition periods, there will be bona fide concerns which will arise. People have to be prepared, industry has to be educated, everybody is not aware of these complex structures, laws. You're going to pass four laws and going to implement them in few months. So some hand holding will be required. And during the transition period, it's important that the harsh provisions that you have put in of recovery, search, seizure are not implemented. There should be a period when industry is prepared, producer is prepared, taxpayer is prepared. Otherwise, with a low threshold when it comes to the exemption, which will hurt the small businesses, the small retailer, the small enterprises, because the threshold is far too low. It should have been much higher than the proposed 22 lakhs. Why that has not been achieved, only the government can explain. But at the same time, it's important that as you go for implementation, both the center and the state governments create an institutional mechanism which protects or insulates the taxpayers from harassment. And you do not create multiple windows of tax harassment, search, seizure, arrests. Already this is happening, and if it leads to that situation, then surely you will not be helping the economy, nor the industry, nor the consumers. I have a suggestion, sir. During the transition period, the Finance Minister may consider to get an offset estimate which industry or the producers out of ignorance may not have availed of. Perhaps that will be something which will be useful. Whether that can be done through the technology or the GST network that will be set up to implement. There is another matter of concern, that is taxation of self-supplies. So if there is interstate movement of goods, or for that matter services, and if there are two divisions of the same legal entity, then in each state the registration and also they will be subject to the GST. Even if there are going to be refunds which will not be automatic, that is something which is a matter of concern. Even if in the service sector, whether it's banking or insurance, from the state office or the regional offices, that would be factored in and invoices would be raised. Whether this issue has attracted your attention, whether the concerns have registered with you, particularly when it is the same entity, the producer is the same, and it's not the final finished product. So if you propose to impose this GST, it should only be on the final product. Otherwise, it should be avoided. As I have said, that these difficulties will be more pronounced in the service sectors. Sir, another matter of concern is about the small states, the northeastern states, the special category states. Now they have been given certain incentives, certain tax incentives, and that is to promote investment, to promote industrialization, and that has helped many border states, whether in northeast or the states of Himachal, Uttarakhand and Jammu and Kashmir. They also, many years ago, we had decided to set up SEZs, special economic zones, to promote investments, and certain exemptions were given only in the case of, also in the case of SEZs. Now after the GST comes in, what will happen to the northeastern states, the incentives that have been given, to the special category states and to the SEZs? We would like to know. And there are many states which actually have come out with their own incentive schemes to promote investments or to attract investments. Whether there will be any grandfathering provisions, or if not, how does the Finance Minister propose to address this issue? So, sir, as I said right in the beginning, the difference between past and present, the difference when the leader of the House and finance minister was sitting where Ghulam Nabi Azad ji is, and when the then finance minister was there on that side, is that we were not lucky, nor the Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh ji then, to make the opposition understand the benefits of the GST when it was referred to by none other than the Prime Minister, who is seeing all virtues and benefits today, but he was the single most agitator against the GST, saying it will destroy the federal spirit, it is against the constitution. Well, we know that we have no quarrel that if there is more wisdom that has come in, perhaps all of you would have said that it is in the larger interest of the country. And what is for the good of the country, the Indian National Congress and we in opposition have always supported, and that's why we had facilitated and supported the passage of the Constitutional Amendment Bill. But to conclude, I'll say this is not going to create neither a perfect GST, nor ideally a common market. It is fractured. Implementation issues are there, and also serious concerns that it will be inflationary, and you will add to the burden, which is unbearable even today, of the citizens and the industry both. I hope the Finance Minister in his reply will respond to the issues raised. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anand Sharma ji. Thank you, Sri Bhupesh.